Good science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in the frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown and you lose it?
Where you been?
Drunk. Wendy. Darling. Light of my life.
What's your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck up and die.
All right there, bud. Wake up.
All right, dude, I am awake, man. It's like, you don't understand. I've been drinking that inviting fluid and drinking some jet fluid, baby.
I wish. I know every time it's like...
I'm just drinking out of mason jars. That's all I drink out of.
He makes it look so good. I don't know why, because I know it's not. I know it's probably awful.
Dude, I want some of
and
that
will
poison.
kill you.
If you don't drink it smart.
Yeah, you got to drink it smart. I mean, like, the first couple look pretty gross, but it's like when he mixes it every time, like... Philip Seymour Hoffman just makes it look so good. You know what I mean? It's like, especially when he's got the orange one and he just takes a big swig. He's just like, God, oh God, you know, and God damn.
Yeah.
He just, I'm like, what's that?
Well, and I love it how he's like, I want that sweet elixir.
I know. He's
Everyone
like,
does.
what's that potion you got? And he gives him the ear and the nose. Anyway,
Hell yeah.
this is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. That's Jordan with his jet fuel beverage over there. I'm Levi. I'm just hydrating. So,
Oh, nice.
Joke's on you.
Oh, I guess you didn't learn anything from the master then, did you?
Learned, every
didn't learn
time,
anything
every
from
time I
Master.
think I'm gonna drink, but it is. We talked about how we're just getting too old. I'm just always like, I'm not gonna just drink unless I drink it a bunch. So I guess unless I'm drinking jet fuel, then that's the only thing that really makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you've seen the movie and you've clicked the link and you know what we're talking about, then maybe this first couple minutes of the podcast won't seem like insane ramblings to you. You'll know we're referring to scenes in the film The Master, which is what we're talking about today.
Did you write a synopsis this time?
I did, actually.
Hell yeah, dude! Nice. You're such a good boy.
I am. Thank you. But we made a mistake because I didn't pull it up again. I gotta get to it.
I know every time you do this, we gotta get. Okay, everybody out there, it takes like 15 minutes for us to get ready to start recording, and he never gets his synopsis ready.
Like Google Docs. Well, it's because I'm out of the game. Well, I put it on Google Docs.
The game we do. Well, I guess that's true. We haven't done it for a few months, but
it's like I don't ever do it on my phone, and I do it on Docs because so I can access everything on my phone because I got too much shit recording on my computer. I don't want to fuck with it. But every time I'm like, oh yeah, I got to pull it up on my phone, like it's on my computer. But anyway, I got it now. Look at that perfect stall.
look at that. Yeah,
I'd
love to hear it.
It's short and sweet because, to be fair, this movie is not very heavily plot-wise. It's a character-driven film. But here's what I got. So, The Master, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, follows Freddie Quill, played by Joaquin Phoenix, an impulsive and self-destructive Navy vet that struggles to reacclimate to society after World War II. Stumbling in and out of trouble, he drunkenly finds his way onto a ship commanded by the great Lancaster Dodd, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, an admired writer and de facto cult leader of a movement called The Cause. The two men immediately have a strong bond, with Dodd, often just referred to as Master, doing everything in his power to help/tame the wild and reckless Freddy. Many members of The Cause are suspicious of Freddy and his motivations, worried his unhinged behaviors may be the undoing of the group. But out of loyalty and determined righteousness, Master tries harder to break Freddy, in the process opening him up and causing him to return home to seek his long-lost love. Sometime later, Freddy and Lancaster are reunited one last time, but instead of returning Freddy to the fold, the man drifts away, alone and unbound, the true master of his own fate, for better or worse.
Oof. Yes.
Hopefully that does it for you. I mean, it's just,
Beautiful, man.
That's the gist. That's the gist.
You know, it's a great unjust just fight against our poor deceased Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Tell me.
on the IMDb, I'm gonna email them. On the IMDb, it says his credit is Lancaster Dodd. It doesn't even have parentheses master
Slash
it's
master.
just Lancaster Dodd. It's like that's not his name.
Nobody calls him that, but the police.
Except the police, the fucking authority.
And it's written. It's written on his books, but other than that, you have no idea. He never introduces himself as Lancaster. Everyone calls him Master.
Yeah, they refer to him as Master. He's an enigma, dude. With that, it's like the whole time. Like that's that scene.
You should email him.
Or down, dude, and he's like, and he has to like actually like, I guess what would that be in this scenario? Would he be the Clark Kent or would he be the Superman? But he had to like strip down and be like, yes, I am Lancaster Dodd. Like, I don't know, man. He's not above the authorities, but he is a billion years old, and he is above all life forms.
Yeah, what's up with that jet fuel you're drinking over there?
I don't know, dude. Yeah, it's delicious, man. It tastes great. I got it out of a coconut.
I know. I always forget, so I hadn't seen this movie in a hot minute. It's probably been like 6-7 years or something. But
how many times have you seen this?
5 or 6, probably.
Dude, this, if I'm not mistaken, this might just be my second time.
Really?
If not third.
I was pretty
maybe?
obsessed with it when it came out. I saw it like 3 times in pretty quick succession, and then I watched it 2 or 3 times again over the years. So this,
I remembered every scene, so I had to have seen it twice because it's like it's not like a complicated movie at all. It's just very very heavy. Each scene is like really deep and rich, and there's like
it's interesting. I knew I never know with my brother Gat. Shout out if you're listening, Broham. But he's been watching the movies on the podcast more often lately, and he watched The Master and he fucking hated it. He hated it. I kind of knew he would.
It's cool.
But it is.
I'm curious.
It's that dry. It's the really dry, dramatic. Like, it's just people in rooms talking.
It's what I eat up. I like every single fucking every look from Phil Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin. Every look
I do,
and just every bit of dialogue it's performed to. I mean, that's what everyone says though. I love it.
That's the thing, yeah.
Every fucking letterboxed and
everyone can agree that it's
review
acts its balls off.
Yes, they're like masterclass acting, greatest acting ever, 2.5 stars. Like that's their like review. It's like the greatest piece of cinema I've ever seen, 2.5 stars.
It's so engrossing for me because I put it on last night. So those of you on the YouTubes, hi, hello. I was rearranging my office yesterday, and I still had a lot to do. And so last night, and I still have a lot to do. But last night, I put on The Master after the kids went to sleep and was like cleaning my office up, continuing to clean with The Master on. And I couldn't. I had to keep pausing it. And then eventually I was just like, I paused it, I hurried and cleaned up my floor. And then I sat down because I like kept being like, oh, I have to watch this. I can't just like casually pay attention.
No.
So
it demands your attention.
I'm sure my brother watched it on the phone at the gym or something, and so I'm like, and that's fine. But this is such a movie of it's just like getting involved in the characters. Like Paul Thomas Anderson, his movies are character fucking driven, character studies every time.
100%, yeah.
And so it's like this movie's not about some guy. Like I don't know. Like it's just two.
Well, dude.
Very distinct personalities coming together in a beautiful way.
I see it as like he wrote it as a love story, it
is, yeah, it totally is.
100%, but it's not even necessarily like a love story that was like originally supposed to be written for like man and woman, or like it's not even really supposed to be like
well, it's a very special kind of love because it's not even really that homoerotic.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not even supposed to be that. It's just literally just like two. It's like the most like platonic level of love that you can have. Like it's like the strongest friendship that you can have because it's like they have all the qualities of each other, but kind of on polar opposites.
No, that's what it is.
They're
both
like admire each other so much that it's like they're just so charged with each other.
Well, that's what's so great. It's like a mentor-mentee relationship, but Philip
but see,
Seymour
it's even
Hoffman's
outside of that.
character, it is outside of that for sure, because he's just he's the only one that's like enthralled with Freddy just as much, but it's like he has this like kind of appreciation and this like I think like a deep like envy, even though he like plays it off as like he's the master, you know, he's just trying to fix him, and that's what I do. I take people and that are broken and I make them whole. We are trying to return to our perfect state as man and all that shit. And but really deep down it's just like he has a real connection with this guy on this level. I think he envies his almost his like freedom that he has, even though he spends so much of the time you know, casting it down and being like, no, you need to change and like all this stuff.
Wouldn't that? I think it's
too good.
that.
The dynamic is just so complex. It's one of those movies,
Right.
that
I put this in my notes. I wrote this is pretty cliche, but I feel like it encapsulates their relationship perfectly. Is Philip Seymour Hoffman? He is the immovable object, and Joaquin Phoenix is the what is that like unstoppable force?
Uh-huh.
He like that's how they work. Like
That's a good way of putting it.
He's such pure like chaos, and like he can't be contained. But like Philip Seymour Hoffman lassos the dragon,
Literally
gets him, and like
now he sits
has
on
him-
command, and then
Yeah.
next we're gonna teach him to roll over and play dead.
Dude, oh my god. It like this. So this movie to me is a 5-star, 100%.
Me
like,
too. I love this movie.
The whole time we were watching it, Victoria was just like she liked it. It's really rare that she would like this, and I didn't think that she would like.
It's likable
appreciate it.
because it's
She loves
charismatic
her- she
enough
loves
from the
her love story,
performances,
too.
you know, and
Yeah, and dude, it's
dynamic.
watching this. It's so driving. It's so funny. Like everyone says that it's dry.
I don't.
I think it's wet, baby.
I-
I think it's sopping wet, baby. There's so in every single scene.
Slick.
I'm like, dude. Every time the music comes in and it's just like,
Don't even
it's
get
like
me
that
started
old
on the
jazz,
music.
dude. And then it's like but it'll like, it's like scored like a horror sometimes, where like there's so much dripping tension where you're at any second Joaquin Phoenix is going to explode, and it's actually really cool because when he does explode, it's it's coming. So it's the times in between when you don't know if he's gonna snap and hurt somebody that you're like on the edge of your seat. There's so much.
It's super
bubbling
tense.
tension.
So
Oh, dude.
didn't Johnny Greenwood do the score? Yeah, he totally did. Because I mean, obviously he did.
Perfect, dude.
But he's my favorite composer. I mean, when we did
Yeah.
like There Will Be Blood, I'm pretty sure it was Composer
he did-
Month.
Yeah, he did There Will Be Blood too.
Yeah, he does.
That's
He does most of PTA and PTA's movies.
So we
Since
watched
There Will Be Blood.
So go listen to our There Will Be Blood podcast, please, everybody out there. But this is if we're right now, because those are the only two PTAs we've watched, right?
That we've done for the podcast, yeah, for sure.
Well, right, of course, yeah. In real life, yeah.
I want to watch them all for the podcast.
I think I've watched them all. Anyways,
Yeah, I think so. He doesn't have that many.
right. So, but those out of those two PTAs that we've done, and those are both, in my opinion, those are his both like strongest films for like what cinema can do. I totally understand like if they're not going to be stories that you like, because I can see like liking Boogie Nights as a movie more.
Yeah, Boogie Nights
a little more
was
fun, a little more tragic.
Boogie Nights was my shit for a long time.
Right.
But it's like I kind of shift back and forth between his movies. I want to watch some of the like quote unquote weaker ones that I haven't seen. And I only like once, like Inherent Vice. I need to rewatch.
Or Magnolia. I've only seen
Magnolia.
once.
I've seen a couple times and it's fine.
Right.
It's still really good, but it's like Punch Drunk Love. I think is pretty underrated because it's just kind of weird compared to everything else. But,
Correct. And I think Punch Drunk Love is fantastic. And it just has so much. Those actually correlate. Like this film and Punch Drunk Love, I feel like are the closest films together in just like tonal relationships.
Oh,
stuff.
really?
And, like because Adam Sandler plays such a repressed character that has like deep-seated intimacy issues. I think that is told better in this movie, The Master.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like
that Master and There Will Be Blood. I think the two that we've covered, they seem like
And I think it's just
they
'cause they're
are
so stark period
deep,
pieces.
Stark period pieces. They are hardcore character driven with tour de force performances. And
Right.
I don't know what it is, dude, but Paul Thomas Anderson should be the only person allowed to make period pieces from now on because they look so fucking good. Like, just watching
dude, I
this
was
movie,
thinking
it
that
looks so good.
It looks more 50s than my grandma's old photos. Like
Yeah,
it looks
it's wild.
more like it's like shot so well. No, it's really cool.
Well, even
They
like
shot
just
it-
the soft film grain,
that's
like
it.
the
Well, they shot it
color.
all on these, like, they shot on these old 65 millimeter cameras from the 50s, and so they shot like these really tight, intimate shots on this huge fucking 65 millimeter camera. And they just like they put these like lenses on it that like totally kind of changed the aspect ratio, but they were shooting this like really big film, so they were getting a lot of really deep, rich colors.
Oh,
And
they really
it's
do.
so
The
sick,
colors
dude.
are
Holy
insane.
Shit. And that like I want like my cell phone background screen just to be the water bubbling, but behind the
It just
like,
keeps going, just like the
behind
flow.
yeah.
He's just the
The flow, the
untamed
music,
flow of
dude.
the motion. Yeah, so
It's like
good.
dude, like all those like really deep cellos and just like everything.
Well,
about
I know
this
it's
movie.
just gonna be us gushing about how wet this movie is.
It is, dude. It's sopping wet. I love this film.
It is.
It's not dry at all, dude. People who think it's dry, they're dry. You got a dry ass
You're dry.
brain, baby.
You need to
Yeah.
engage with your art more, sir. But
I know, dude. Do you see Joaquin Phoenix? Do you see how crooked he is and broken? He was doing the Joker before he was the Joker, dude.
so I couldn't even handle Joaquin Phoenix in this. So I watched.
The first time we saw this, dude, we saw this in theaters together. Now
Yeah.
I just remembered
Yeah, we did.
because we left and I admittedly we kind of messed up our flow here a little bit. We usually ask our first impressions. My first impression with this, I thought it was beautiful, and I was like admittedly confused with like I was like, well, what was their relationship? I didn't quite understand.
Well, it
And
ends
upon
kind
this-
of on a
upon this
weird
point-
note with like the slow boat to China
totally.
and everything.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. But now watching it, I 100% get the relationship.
Yeah,
I
for
get,
sure.
Like, yeah, I get the envy and I get the dynamics between like even like Philip Seymour Hoffman and Amy Adams, like their relationship. But anyways, watching this movie the first time, I was kind of disappointed because his character arc, which is very minimal, is just basically having a healthy having sex in a healthy manner with somebody who's his age and consenting, essentially, to the extreme that you can go for two people who are probably a little intoxicated, and him like using like he's not having sex to like avoid something or he's not having sex because he's so drunk but then he's impotent now, because
Yeah.
alcohol killed his
It's
sex
like-
drive.
it's like
he
even
has a healthy
no, it's even sadder though. Like
I don't interpret it as sad. I did the first time I saw this. I was kind of like I was
It's
disappointed.
so
'cause I was
sad
like, oh, it's
to
such
me.
a dumb. No, but see, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think
I
think
love
he's
it.
just tragic. in
It's
general.
it's because he's tragic, but it's just like went from being it is growth, but it's still sad because it's such a small growth in the grand scheme of his life.
Of course,
But
yeah. I mean, there
it's-
is really no character development
From
for
going
these characters.
yeah, from going to like just like this sex crazed lunatic to like, but now he's like actively, and he always was seeking like more like someone to care about him and like a companionship on a deeper level. But it's so sad that he's like trying to recreate his closest moment, and he's like, no, you got to do the thing with that, and she just doesn't get it. He's trying to recreate like, no, say your name, don't blink, and trying to have this like an actual intimacy. Which is that's the growth, I think, because it's like actually intimate instead of just like this animalistic type, just fucking that he usually does, and he's just like, yeah, let me see them
Right.
titties.
Well, and I think, I mean, yeah, I don't know, dude. That like, and that whole
But it's
watching it this
I
time,
don't know, it's sad.
I can, yes, I
it's
can see that.
growth.
I find it,
It's growth,
I
but
find
it's
it-
just like
I find it healthier at least. It's on like he's on like the road to a healthier relationship. I don't think that like that person particularly will be like a healthy relationship for him, but at least I feel like he's on like a higher path than just having sex and approaching it with such violence. Like everything he like approached was like violent because I think that he didn't have an outlet, and then being with Philip Seymour Hoffman for so long, because I that was one thing that on this watch and originally when I watched it the timeline is kind of funky, and I mean I think it's on purpose.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to kind of you're following an unreliable narrator, and you don't really you don't know what time period we're in, because it's only been like 5 years or something from the beginning when he
Yeah,
gets off the
probably
ship
about something like that. Yeah.
to when he's in England is like
Yeah.
5 years probably.
Something
I'm
like that.
assuming. But even then, it could be. I don't know. There's because they do a little jumping around, like flashbacks to him before he goes. But anyways, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it is
lost
7
that
years from when
yes.
he left to go to the war. So however long he was there, plus everything that came afterward, and I think it was probably a couple years from when he first finds Master, and then like when he
Yeah, 'cause I
reunites
think
with
it's-
them in England.
I think it's like.
I think that's been a few years.
No, that's what sucks because there's the time when he goes back to his hometown to meet Doris, and she's been gone. She's been gone for 3 years. And so
I do see
from
the
that
connection though just now, because I was just about to make a joke about how he just kept riding the motorcycle all the way to her house, but that is literally the scene from Punch Drunk Love when he shows up to Philip Seymour Hoffman's building with the phone still in his hand.
yeah.
As he
dude.
ripped the cord
that's
out.
So funny. He's bashing the phone.
Yeah.
God, I love that movie, dude. But yeah, so that's what I mean. And and I'm all over the place because this show is so great. But that's my favorite emotional scene. That's like the most optimism in the whole show is when he finally like gets to go away, but then it's immediately destroyed when he runs away, and then he goes back home, and it's like, oh, now he's just repeating the cycle.
I want to know how they filmed. We're jumping all over the place, but like the scene when he's riding the motorcycle, like he's going so fast, and it is scary. I'm like, that's the thing. Like, it's such a. I feel like the first time around, I really enjoyed it. Like same boat. Like I really enjoyed it, but it didn't have like this as emotional impact as the previous viewings. But this time,
it's hard to take it all in. I think
it is
so much going on.
Yeah,
the first time I saw it,
because it's like that scene is like such a like climactic scene, but it doesn't really feel like it. But it's just like if you're really invested, it's just like it's so tense that he's just like letting go, and it's just like full bore, all his emotions, everything he's learned, and the fact that he just doesn't come back because he's just like, no, that's just what I'm thinking. I have to do this, you know.
I feel like Master gave him the confidence.
Yeah.
But
that's
he
the
didn't
growth.
Get the tools. He didn't get the tools to be like assimilated into
that's
or whatever,
that's what's tragic, and
right.
I think that's kind of what's tragic about the ending is like he's been deeply influenced, and I think definitely for the better by Master and his teachings and stuff, but he doesn't have the mental capacity necessarily to really understand it, and so he can't like use it the way he wants to, and so it's just like he leaves to go find this thing, and everything is so like frustrating for him, and just like ends up being all these disappointments and stuff. I don't know. It's so, and Joaquin Phoenix, man,
dude,
I can't even.
Did you on this time watching it? And that's what I love about this show is like there's so much subtext, and then there's a lot that like it might have been answered, but I don't think there's like an answer to. I don't know. It's like he's such an unreliable narrator. I don't know if he's ever had sex before, but he says that he's had sex with his aunt or whatever, or whoever. I can't even remember, Maggie or something like that. Whatever.
Oh, dude, I feel like he certainly banged as many prostitutes as he could in the war.
I see.
I
don't know.
He probably
could, though. Like.
Just like straight up impotent from like being too drunk.
Yeah, from the like, because I feel like what I'm getting from this is he might have been molested or raped by his aunt when he was younger, and that was the initial, because that was like the first debriefing, and that's like the initial trauma, and I think from there going to war, and like in the war they were taking speed and drinking jet fuel and drinking ethanol and anything that they could get their hands on that would make you inebriated. And so I think he gave himself alcohol and induced
there's something really
trauma,
there's something deeply wrong. Well, the fact that and this comes down to, I don't know how much of this was in the script or how much was Paul Thomas Anderson's directing. It's probably a combination, and and Joaquin Phoenix acting, but like So I had just watched Beau's Afraid the other night, also Joaquin Phoenix, and it's a totally different role for him. And then coming back and watching The Master the next day, I forgot like just how physical his performance is, and the fact that he's always got kind of a little bit similar to myself and a lot of other people that have like a slight droop to one side. He really plays it up. I don't even know how he does it so well.
Yeah.
In his performance, he makes his eye kind of lazier and his mouth droopy, and it's like that's like an obvious symptom we know now of like some sort of brain damage, possible stroke, or like a tumor or something, which would explain his erratic behavior. And it's like, who knows how he got that? It's is that a cause of his insane substance abuse, or is that a or is the substance abuse a way for him to like deal with that? But like the fact that they brought that performance into it, I'm sure PTA and Joaquin like really worked out how they want to do Freddie Quill. But it's just like that alone, like the first 2 minutes of this movie does so much for his character, just in the acting and just like in his like what
he's. The first 5
minutes, good.
The first 5 minutes explain. They do such a good job to like introduce his like nomadic, just rambunctious and like just volatile nature. Where like he just like he got done with war. He, you don't. It's like it's cool because they don't ever show him in action. Like it's always kind of like the loneliness that is war, and like he was always kind of an outcast. They deliberately do that.
Yeah,
he's
the weird guy that they like. They make the woman out of the sand, and he comes and starts fucking it as a joke. But it goes too long, and he gets too into it that it just makes everyone uncomfortable. It's just like he's that guy, and he's always that guy.
But he's the guy. He's the guy that they keep around because he like knows what he's doing when it comes to creating.
He does. He's like sort of an alchemist, man. He can does anything. He's like, because later when he's making shit that like possibly kills that guy when he's working on like that cabbage farm or whatever, and he's like got his little boilers and like he's like distilling it. Like he knows. And he's a good photographer, man. Like he's got a job being a photographer and.
So he works with the chemicals. You know that he probably learned a few. He picked up a few things that were like, oh, this won't kill you if you dilute it with this, but it can make you, it can make you like drunk and shit like that. It's like, I feel like he probably got access to like,
it reminds me of
what the 50s were all
like
about, is like
Charlie from It's Always Sunny. He's just like drinking pain and like
drinking pain, just drinking. And I love how every job he goes to, he's got a new like he's just drinking like toilet cleaning supplies and shit. Like,
whatever's there, it's
whatever's
like,
available.
He knows how to.
He always says, if you know how to drink it smart.
I know, and I'm literally just combining like fucking chemicals from like a dark room to make.
Yeah, it's all like paint thinner and like fertilizer from. Just like
I forgot how many other people were in this movie too, because it's like I always forget Amy Adams is in it until I see her, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Amy Adams. I love Amy Adams.
Right. And you're like, oh wow, she's actually like a large character, like a bigger character than. I mean, I guess it's like because Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman, they're like huge shadows come across the.
Right, it's like Jesse Plemons is in it, and he's fun. I wish we'd see more of him, but it's just right enough. And then
what's his name? Mr. Robot's in it too.
Why am I spacing his name?
Oh my God, Malik.
Rami Malek.
Rami Malek.
Yeah, I forgot. I totally forgot he was in this.
He plays such a different character in this. It's so cool. Like it took me a second to realize it because he just plays such a he kind of plays like a meeker character like he normally does, but he played like such a. It's just like I love how he's just like, Father, do you think he's part of the cause? Like
I know it's like
it's so good. And like, oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman, dude, I don't know who's better, honestly. When I first saw this, I was like, oh, Joaquin killed it. He's the best. But now watching it again, I'm like, Joaquin's
don't know who's better. Yeah, dude, it's hard.
Philip Seymour Hoffman has.
He's right there with him at the very least.
Such an intense. I almost might. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I can't really say better because they both like. Okay, this is just becoming the praise podcast.
But it's like Joaquin Phoenix. His performance is much more like rambunctious on the outside, and like he has the crazy big moments where he's like smashing the toilet, and
he gets to use the room a lot.
yeah,
His energy
he's like the center where it's like Philip Seymour Hoffman's. He has those performances as like this sort of egotistical, always needs to be the center of attention, like basically cult leader. That's his whole thing is obviously inspired by some real life cults that are coming about at the time, but it's his performance is like a little bit more subtle. But I know I was watching it. I was like watching him play drunk, too.
Dude, yes.
And I'm like,
when he's dancing, when
it's
he's doing
so
the song,
good.
Oh my God.
Like him, I don't know, because it's like I know he wasn't actually drunk because I know he broke his sobriety, unfortunately, on the rap party of this movie. But he doesn't do that thing where a lot of drunk people act drunk and they're like, I'm so drunk, and they're just like slurring and stuff. Like even when he's not that drunk and he's just kind of becoming a lush. It's like just enough. Like he has that just like energy, and he's red in the face.
He's red. He gets so beat red, and it's like
when he's doing that dragon speech and everything, and
yeah, right, yeah, and he plays that like he's got like hypertension. Like that like this is like a really unhealthy human being that's like he's like smoking like 2 packs a day, and he's he's like
he loves cools.
Yeah, cools, dude. That
there's smoky flavor.
On r/coldest center knowledge.
Check it out.
On Reddit, you posted the blooper on that.
That wasn't me.
That's beautiful. Oh, you didn't post that?
No, someone else.
Assumed.
No, that's.
Oh well, thank you. Oh, cool.
That was some third party. So one of our cult friends.
Hell yeah, dude! Our little.
That was great though. I know. I really miss Philip Seymour Hoffman.
So funny. I watched some of the deleted scenes. I want to kind of get into that a little bit. Have you seen them? Do you know about?
No, I actually haven't, which is surprising because I definitely own the DVD.
Well, dude, it's wild. There are a few scenes that I don't quite understand why they got cut because like they're fully shot too. It's not just like it doesn't have like time code and it's like raw footage. It's like actually edited with the score and everything. And there's a scene where it's got like another montage like voiceover that kind of explains who he is, and
I know cool. There's a lot because there's a lot of shots in the trailer I remember that weren't in the movie because
they weren't in the movie. Yeah,
PTA does that kind of a lot.
He does that. Well, you know what's cool? A little inside baseball here. A little like this is what did I used to call these fun facts or fuck I can't remember. But one of my
that is a fun fact.
Yeah, one of my little factoids is PTA actually edited all his own trailers.
Really?
Like all the promotional material,
great.
He did it himself.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's cool.
It makes sense that the same person edited them all because they are all great trailers, and it's funny that it's actually him because
the movie's edited so well too, dude. There really is like that's the thing. I mean, this is a masterpiece. This movie has no.
I think it's great. I think it's
every single aspect of it is perfect. But there's a shot. Okay, so there's a bunch of great deleted scenes. Stuff that would like kind of help flush it out. They have a scene where it's like Rami Malek and Joaquin, they're having the conversation about how he's like, oh, he's talking about the book, and he like talks about how the split saber is like a writing that he did, and the book could kill you if you read it. Like men have gone insane due to this book, and
nice.
He's talking about that. And he's like, it's been buried for a long time, which we just see that later as just them digging it up.
Yeah.
But anyhow. They have that conversation, and that's the conversation where he says, like, well, what do you think that would be worth? And it's like, it's that kind of like,
interesting.
And then later,
yeah.
at the dinner scene, when they have that conversation, it's still, the movie works perfect without it, but I actually kind of like the scene because it's like,
it makes sense why he cut it because
really
he's just like,
really
it works
tense.
Without it, but,
yeah.
It's that's hard to cut those kinds of scenes though, where it's just like, especially because obviously if it's that done, it's made it all the way basically to the very end, and there's like a final cut where it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe it's killing the pacing or something, or just we get the same redundant
a week
information.
Later, he watched it. Yeah, and he was just like, that could go. That it functions. It functions just fine at the dinner table. But let me get to one scene in it. God damn it, that's so good. So there is the books that get dug up, and they're in that locked wooden crate, that like the treasure chest essentially. and they take it back, and then there's another scene of like psychological warfare where they put Freddy in the room with it, and they tell him that he has to like guard it essentially. You know, they only trust him with it, and they leave him in the room. But it's like they're like, it's important that you don't open it, and so he has to kind of be in this room,
Interesting.
not
That
he
does
can't
sound
push the
really good.
red shiny button, but he fucking opens it and it's just fire. Fire just comes out of the box, and he's just like looking at it, and then he just closes it. And
Really?
He's, like, stressed.
That's
He's just stressed
amazing.
out. It's amazing,
I love
dude.
that.
I can't believe it. That literally made me be like, because the whole time this show is 100% grounded. Even when they have like the whole nudist scene and all the women are naked, it's totally his reflection. It totally gets into his head. It's like, and it fits with the narrative. It's like perfect. It's great. The movie like doesn't ever leave the realms of possibility, except that scene when he opens it and it's just fire coming out, and I'm like, holy shit, that like makes it like supernatural. Like it's so cool, and I'm like,
I know, but still from his perspective,
I get it.
that's probably why they cut it,
Well,
because
that's
it
the
was
thing.
like for him, it
But
was
it-
just like
but
this. That's danger, and he's betraying something.
But he didn't, in that how it's edited together. It doesn't. It's not from his perspective how it's edited. I don't know. I'll post it.
Post it.
so
I
you
want
can
to.
watch
I want to
too.
see it.
Because it's a sick scene, and it's like it totally makes it kind of changes the movie a little bit for me. But I think this movie's still
Please
flawless.
post it so I remember to go watch the deleted scenes. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's 19 minutes of deleted scenes.
Oh, yeah, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, post it. That's funny because that scene, I really like what that scene conveys. And again, I didn't get this the first time I watched it necessarily, but it's just like they're talking about how no one trusts Freddy, and everyone suspects that when he's like, maybe he's a spy.
Oh, right.
And then like 2 scenes later, him and Freddy go out to the desert to dig it up. And it's interesting that it's like that is Philip Seymour Hoffman's reaction to those accusations, that it's just like his reaction is then to take that man to this place to dig it up. It's like this. It's like a test, but also like a thing of trust, because it's like they do have this weird bond.
And that's why I think that the scene later when he has to watch the box is really effective. And the fact they cut it is kind of awkward. But I mean, it really isn't necessary, honestly, for the whole. Their relationship is still just as strong, and that test still holds up really well. They're like, he just takes him out. But I think it's cool because it's like the underlining threat too is that like they bring weapons with them, and I think it's like they're isolated. And,
It's funny. It is the small details like that make them seem like they're so much more, because they do play like more grandiose than they are. And it's like, oh, we're at sea because this, that, and the other. But it's just like the second you come to land, then the cops got you because you're doing all these shady things and all that. But it's like they're constantly playing like these victims and like everyone's out to get us, which that's like cult mentality 101. You know what I mean? Is to
totally.
just isolate it and be like, it's like it's them versus us. And so it's just like nobody's following them to fucking unbury the fucking, his book out in the desert, but they got their guns and everything on them. And he'll be like, but it's like for snakes, but also just in case anyone has followed us,
Well, yeah, because he has people who are like non-believers and part of like anyone who's part of an organization that's maybe there to stop him. That's how come I love the fucking our quote. If you listen to this podcast, the beginning of the podcast, we have that guy, the non-believer, the one who thinks that he's just doing hypnosis because he's in a cult, and he's just like they're following one person. I can't remember what's the full quote, but it's just like that's the basis of cult. Like it's so cool.
Right. I know. That scene's so intense too, and I forget because it's like that. There's so many scenes.
It's so
I don't
good
get
when he
how
breaks.
people think it's so dry, because it's like
I know it's wet, dude. It's something wet.
there's so many scenes that like are full attention, but then it's perfect characterization. That it's just like he's getting so worked up, he's kind of drunk, and that's why Amy Adams starts getting on his cases, because he starts drinking a lot more, because he's drinking whatever God knows.
And
then Freddy hits him with the tomato though. Like it's just.
Oh, dude! And then he's like, "Down, Freddy!
Not
Down!"
not
basically.
now. Yeah. Not,
He's basically
stop
like,
it.
he's telling his like guard dog like you gotta chill,
Are you saying the power dynamic though, Amy Adams, when she like whacks him off and is like, no more
Right.
boozing?
Well, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, she's like, no more.
'Cause I
boozing.
forgot about that,
That-
and so this time around, I was like, oh man, it did give more perspective to like her role, especially later when she's just like,
dude.
me too,
'Cause
yeah.
I feel like she's like, she is. You know, there's a lot of people who speculate like, either they give her like, who's the master? They give her the title of master. It's like, oh, we have to like designate a character as like who is the like dominating force in this movie. Where it's like she isn't. I think that she's just as like infatuated and just like she's with him for a reason, and I think she's like 100% supportive of the cause, like of the like
Yeah.
teachings that
I don't
he has.
think
And
no one
I
can be the
think
man.
that,
Like he does. She does feel like she does have a. I feel like she does feel like she has like a certain control, but she ain't no fucking master. That's for sure. She believes. She's a true believer. You know what I mean?
Right. I think she's just as caught up.
Because just at the end where she's just like, this is
else.
pointless, and walks out, and he's
Right.
just like, or you can stay, you know, because I love
I
you.
know, dude, and it really is, dude. When he sings like a slow boat to China, well, dude, you know what's cool? I also think that song has a lot more significance because Freddie was originally, or when he got on the boat to leave Doris, it was a boat to China, and I feel like there's a lot. I don't know, dude. I got like watching this again. I'm like, I want to watch it again just to like really get in, because this is Paul Thomas Anderson. He said this is like his strongest piece of writing that he's ever done. Like he's like out of any script I've ever written.
And that's
You know,
that's a pretty high bar, but I would say that
I know.
probably is though.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
and possibly and his directing, honestly too. Like, you know, maybe some of his other movies are a little more zazzy, but it's like I definitely feel like this movie is just way more, I don't know, contextual. Like there's just a lot of like
well, there's
deep,
every single,
complex
every
human
single
emotions,
scene-
man. That's what I want. Like,
right. Every single scene perfectly punctuates the next scene, and then the whole movie as a whole. Because what movie we were talking about the other day that was like, we did it for the pod, and we were like, every scene's really good, but it didn't help the movie at all. We didn't like the movie. God, I don't know. That's a lot. That happens a lot.
that does happen a lot.
yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
like-
it all comes together. I know. I'm ready to watch it again, honestly, or just go through the scenes.
I turned it on, and like Victoria was on her phone for the first like 10 minutes or something, which is so funny because after that she was like, what did the army do to him or something? I'm like, the army did nothing for him. That was they gave him like the basic like rundown of like the psychological test to be like, well, you're broken, bud, so you're gonna have a tough time getting back into civilization.
We're throwing you, we're just whatever. You survived that somehow, like,
Yeah, right. So good luck.
yeah.
But anyways, it's like you just see that, and then later the first time he goes through processing, that's when that's basically his like his exposition dump for who his character is.
That scene, it's like by then if you're not fully invested, because that's like,
Dude, that's such a good.
It's hard to
scene.
be. It's like I guess it's maybe skipping ahead because it's hard not to pick that scene as like the best scene, the favorite scene, because it's just
right.
that's the Oscar clip for just like their moments, and like even the editing is just so good because it's like you could tell Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm always struck by like that cut when he asks him like, "Have you ever slept with anyone inside your own family?" and he says yes, and it just cuts back to him, and he wasn't expecting him to answer yes to that. And so he just asks it like 3 more times as like stalling on it.
That's when Philip Seymour Hoffman like fully respects him, because he's like, oh fuck, he's like,
I want you to open up, break down the barriers that I gotta really try.
And I think it's the only
he's
time
fascinated with him
that he's ever had somebody fully open up to him. I think that's where like his admiration comes from, and his sexual charge is because he's like, oh my god, someone's finally opening up to me.
Well,
and I can feel it. Like
that's why the ending scene is so impactful for me as well, is because it's like it mirrors that scene where he's trying to recreate that. Because I think that was the only time in Freddy's life when someone seemed to like Master's asking him all these very personal questions with genuine interest, constant eye contact. Like that's the first time he's ever felt these like this true like someone's truly cared about him and asking him these deeply personal things. So that was his connection, and ever from that moment, he's fucking loyal to a fault. You know what I mean? But at the end, it's like it's so sad. He's like trying to kind of recreate that bond that he had just by trying to get this chick to do it, and it's just, but he can't figure. He doesn't really understand the purpose of why it even happened in the first place. Like it's so good.
Really though, yeah. I think it's because he did that. That is his like. I keep saying like his character plot and his character development and like where he kind of that's where he grew is that he's kind of like, oh, I don't really need you anymore, but he's still like a very broken individual. That's like not, it's not like, and that's what I love too. And Philip Seymour Hoffman tells him like, if you can live without a master,
please tell the rest of us you'll be the first.
Yeah, you'll be the first person in the history of the world to ever do that. And I love it because it's like he's not gonna live without a master. Like he has a master. Like he goes back to what rules him as a master, but he has grown a little bit. And I don't know, man. It's so good. Do you have any Reddits or?
Yeah, I bet I got a Reddit or two. Let's see.
I can give you a little money minute. I was telling you this earlier. I think before we got on the pod. It's like, it's wild that this movie, because we were just talking about Beau is Afraid. That's a contemporary film that's coming out by Ari Aster, which I feel like he gives the same energy that PTA gives, and he has some great writing and some great acting. He gets some great performances from his character. And those movies, you said that Beau is Afraid was $35 million.
I think so. I mean, don't quote me, but that sounds right.
but that to me is pretty much. I mean, that's like I thought it was more, but anyways, 35 is a lot. That's a lot of movie. That's a lot of money for especially for him, and kind of even for PTA because I was surprised. I thought it would be, but this movie was 32 million. I didn't realize The Master was that much. It's like
I mean, 30s like seems like fairly standard. Like
yeah, right. Like
it's definitely not
like
low. It's definitely like a big Hollywood movie, but it's not like a blockbuster budget. But that's like a pretty fucking healthy budget for like a regular ass movie. Because like they'll give Judd Apatow 30 to 50 million to make his fucking movies. You know what I mean?
Right. But I feel like even that's kind of like that's a lot. Like
I think a lot of the money, like you said, in this movie probably went to like, I mean, not only costume design and stuff, but like equipment. Like honestly, like old equipment, film. If they shoot on 65 film stock and all that. Like.
Do you know what's cool? They like rented out like an island to shoot this, so it's like all of the sets, like 90% of the sets were on this. Were like in a two block radius.
Oh,
like,
that's
cool. They were all together, so it's like they would just have the actors there, and like they would just be like, oh shit, let's just do these pickups. Like that scene with Amy Adams when she talks about her eye color, which is like a strong contestant for my favorite scene.
It's really good.
That's a complete throwaway scene. That was a scene they didn't even know. He like shot it on the fly. He was just like, oh, let's do this. I've got you for the day. Let's just go shoot a quick little scene, intimate thing. Yeah, it was just like, I think it was just him in the room with her, and they like shot it.
Well,
and it's
that's what
so
I love about
good.
that's what I love about PTA, man. Like that's why he's probably my favorite filmmaker because not only does he write his own shit and direct it, but it's just like he's so hands-on with what he's doing. He doesn't just direct, like he shot all of Phantom Thread, like he shoots a lot of his movies, like he gets up in it, and it's like he knows he's not like dying on the hill of like, no, it needs to be exactly as I'm seeing. Yeah. He's very like collaborative where that makes total sense where he's like, let's just shoot this thing. I just had this idea. Dude, what do you like? Let's do it.
And he was just running lines. He was coming up with lines as they were there.
Yeah.
And he was just running them to her, and then she would just say them back, and they would sit there. And so she mentions in an interview, she's like, I felt like I was being hypnotized. Like I felt like I was in processing. Like I would love
if like, Paul Thomas Anderson would just hypnotize me. Come on.
I know, dude. But so anyways, this movie was 32 mil, which is a healthy budget.
That's pretty good. That is up there. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Right. And I think
this movie is.
He used it to his advantage, and he was able to shoot on like really nice cameras. But and oh my god, another thing, God, I keep getting sidetracked. But those cameras, dude, they're so sexy. They were so loud in the filming because all the sets were so intimate and like quiet and not that many people on set. And the cameras were so loud, they would just like edit in fan noise or create it where it like it made it like a fan, like ambient, because there literally would be like noise.
You know what?
happening
I
over
did
their
actually,
dialogue.
I did
Yeah,
actually
dude.
notice some of that when he's
Yeah.
doing the walking back and forth scene between the wall and the window and stuff.
Yeah,
Like them
yeah,
in that
dude.
house. I definitely noticed.
There's like a
there was
hum
like a
to it.
something like an old. I did briefly notice it, but I was like, oh, that's like an old '50s refrigerator or something. Like
something. Yeah, right. It's just ambient. You're like, oh, it just becomes the ambient noise because it's so rhythmic. Oh, dude, it's, yeah. And that's what's so cool. It's like
that's funny.
actual
They
film,
they
man.
they
It's like-
put it into the sound design.
yeah,
How
right,
to
right.
how to
It's
build it
just-
in.
Yeah, but okay, so 32 mil, great budget.
Oh yeah, what did it
Sad,
make?
sad performance. I mean, it almost made it back. It made 28.2 million
Oh,
back.
man.
So it's like, which I don't know how. I don't understand. When this, I guess no, I don't know. I guess when this came out, I wasn't like, I thought it was amazing,
Well,
but I also
this
wasn't like.
was
I
Paul
don't know,
Thomas
now I'm gushing over it.
Anderson. Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson was, he was everyone like he was always kind of a big deal from before, but he really was a big deal after There Will Be Blood.
Absolutely.
Everyone's like, oh, he's the auteur of a generation or whatever. And so everyone, I think,
Well,
was
he was having kind of a renaissance too with that. Like
He was.
He changed his style a
Yeah,
lot.
oh,
with that
for
movie.
sure. Oh yeah, for
And then-
sure.
and then-
After There Will
and then
Be
he did-
Blood, his style
This and then-
changed for
and
sure.
Phantom Thread.
Yeah.
I feel like those three, like There Will Be Blood, Master, and Phantom Thread, those all kind of feel. I mean, just like feel so period PC and
Yeah.
timey. And
I know,
his,
and
his
it's
color.
but he
color
jumps
grade
back
is
and
so-
forth because he did Inherent Vice before that Phantom Thread,
Right.
and then
right.
obviously his most recent movie, Licorice Pizza. Like he just kind of, I don't know, man, he's all over the
Yeah.
place. But
And that's kind of that's like that's different.
that's too bad he didn't make that because I remember this being, like I love Philip Seymour Hoffman. I've always been a big fan of his, and I know seriously, he honestly to this day he's still probably the celebrity death that like affected me the most. That I still am just like, man, fucking Philip Seymour. Like, how many movies could we got? Because I'd watched this, and then
oh my
like
God,
before The Devil
so
Knows
many.
You're Dead, like right after, like together.
So many fucking movies.
But anyway,
Ugh.
but I remember this being the big deal for me because it was like I'd seen the trailers. I liked PTA. I liked Philip Seymour Hoffman, and then this was like the comeback of Joaquin Phoenix. Because
Yes,
he had
yes,
like disappeared for like 7 years out of the mainstream, and then they're like, he's
Victoria-
coming back in
Victoria-
this movie, and he's all weird and like,
That's the thing. Victoria didn't like his performance because she was like, oh, it's like she's like, it's familiar, it's weird.
Now?
You know, like she did now, and I was like, no. Contextually, this
this
was like
blew my
this was the
tit.
first
His
thing-
performance. That's why it
Yes.
takes all the limelight, though. Is
right, because it's like he like his gaunt figure and like his skeletal structure and how he like bent himself and like how he like
and that's
how he
why
held his body.
I
is,
wasn't
like,
that
that's
impressed
what
with
he's-
Joker. I was like, yeah, I
Right.
mean,
No,
he did it
right,
better
right.
in The Master.
That's what I no, dude. I'm like, and the Master is not as toxic as like where the Joker is. You know, where
Right.
the Joker's like trying to ride that fine line of like, is he mad or is society mad? And it's like in this, it's like, no, dude, he's broken, bud. He's fucking broken. Like he's got trauma, dog. Like,
He's a
that's
broken
like,
person.
That's
for
what
sure.
this movie does. But anyways, okay, man, we're
All right, I got a couple Reddits. All right, shut up.
And we have Travis too, so we got shit to do. We got shit to do.
This is gonna be a 3-hour long
Yeah.
podcast of just being
Dude,
like, I fucking like, Philip Seymour
Master-
Hoffman was here,
Well,
still
dude,
alive, so I'd suck
we
his
didn't even-
corpse's dick.
Well, and I didn't even get into like the daughter of this, how like she was like temptation.
I
Dude.
know.
Oh my god,
And
dog.
she-
what a biatch, dude. I
She's
can't
like
believe it.
touches his crotch at that thing,
Oh.
and
And then she
he, out of
gaslights him,
loyalty, is like, no, we have a bond. Like, don't.
Yeah.
Your husband's there. And but then later she's like, I think he really wants me and everything. And I'm
Oh,
just
no.
like, you
Oh
fucking.
my god. Yeah, dude.
Anyway,
He's
so
a good character. God.
Them Fruckus says this movie is a top 5 masterclass in acting. It resonates with me deeply because I spent a number of years in a similar relationship with a leader like this and worked closely with adult male addicts. His line, if you leave me now, in the next life you will be my sworn enemy, and I will show you no mercy. It chills me. It is an excellent expression of what lies within people that give themselves deeply to others, to help others. The line between kindness and rage, disgust and arrogance towards those you're helping is very thin. God, that line, yeah, thank you for that. That's a great write up.
Great comment.
That line is a gut punch to me every time, though. I fucking love it so much when he's just like, or you can stay, and there's like a desperate issue, and he's like, maybe in another life, and he's like, if we meet again in the next life, You will be my sworn enemy, and I will show you no mercy. It's
So good.
it's beautiful. And then he just sings to him. Anyway, so Clones for People 2 says, I watched this for the first time, and I feel this needs more than one watch to really appreciate it. I'm not sure what I was expecting, maybe more of an ensemble piece like Boogie Nights, or a hard-hitting drama like There Will Be Blood. Instead, I feel like this was more of a nuanced, subtle piece that explored the relationship between the main characters, and on a deeper level, the relationship between followers and leaders, and man's own insecurities and flaws. The acting was supreme, so sad that we lost Philip Seymour Hoffman so young. Paul Thomas Anderson knows how to get a performance out of an actor. I love the period design, the sets, the costumes, the filters. Overall, for me, this was good and I enjoyed it, but I feel that having seen it, I will enjoy watching it more a second time, where I can focus more on the finer details of the characters, their relationships, and their motivations. And then there's one more comment, and I just... the comment don't matter because they're just talking about... They posted the outtakes, which is, I'm only here for the cock. Thank you for the outtakes, though, because I really enjoyed that. Go watch that. Because it's them doing the smoking scene. It's just funny to watch their camaraderie, and it makes me miss Philip Seymour Hoffman all the more because it's just him as the man he is. Yeah.
Well, and it's so cool to see him break and then immediately get back in the character. And you're just like, it's so smooth. He's such a good actor.
Well, it's funny they all kind of
commenting.
Yeah, seriously. And to Clones for People too, 100%. This is a movie that every time I watch it gets better. Because it's like you are able to focus on, like, I don't know, it sucks me in, but like, yeah, I feel like the first time you're kind of caught off guard. I mean, that's how it is with a lot of movies where you're like trying to like just keep up what's going on and like figure out the relationships and like just be absorbed by the whole thing. And this isn't one of those movies either. This isn't like a puzzle box movie where you're like, what do I got to decipher? It's just like, it's just a two very well written, very well fleshed out characters that are very unique, individual, dynamic, come together to make something wholly unique. That it's just like nothing else really can do it because it's like, how could you? It's like, what are the odds? So I always say to people, individuals like are super, insane and like all this, but it's like you take a relationship of two individuals. It's like that's one of the most unique things on the planet. It's like there's a lot of the time it's like it's got its own dynamic every time, and this shows that better than anything probably I've ever seen. So, So thanks for the comments. That was all great. And man, this movie.
It's a great film. Let's hear it from Travis, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up Travis's thingy. Whoops.
Yeah.
But and I'm glad he. It's just funny that Travis didn't comment on Grand Budapest, and my brother didn't watch Grand Budapest either. And I out of all the movies we've been watching recently, was like, that's the most accessible one.
Yeah, really though, right?
Because I was telling my brother, I was like, yeah, I mean, you probably won't like The Master, but who knows? And he didn't. And then I was like, watch Grand Budapest, because if you don't like Grand Budapest, you're dead inside.
Right. I mean, it's like, I think if anything, you'll just like, you can be like, oh, I don't
personal
really
taste.
Care for the,
it's
I don't
too
care for the aesthetic.
Yeah.
But the movie itself is whimsical and fun, and it's just fine. It's acted well. It's great, dude. I mean,
delightful.
Yeah, it's delightful.
Okay, I got enough stalling.
Hey guys, by seeing both your letterbox ratings, I'm aware we don't agree on this movie. But what I think we do agree on is the outstanding performance by Joaquin Phoenix. The last movie I saw with him in it was Joker, which also he did an incredible job on. So my first question is, what do you guys think of Joaquin Phoenix as an actor throughout his career? Do you think he gets the recognition he deserves? My second question is for the people who post on Reddit, like Clones or People too. I'd like to follow them on Letterboxd to see what they think of other movies and see what else is good that I'm missing. Thanks. And it was cool to hear one of the clips from the podcast intro in this movie.
Yeah.
Hey.
I love that. Thank you, Travis.
Thanks for noticing that. That's fun.
Know what we can do?
I'll make a post on Reddit that's like, what for everyone, like, we're part of this film community. What's your letterbox? Let's follow each other, because I would like that too, actually.
Let's share a letterbox, and then I'll text it over.
I do always see Travis's too. I saw he gave this 3 stars, and so I was like, okay,
Yeah. Well, no, I get it,
but
why you don't like this movie.
I get it.
Or even, and 3 stars is like, that means you
that's
liked
not, That's
like,
not bad.
It's
just me and you were over here.
It.
See, I feel like a lot of people would be like, these guys are over here being like, this is the greatest movie ever made.
like, and it's. I mean, there is some like, what is that, like, recency bias that like this is. But this movie, you guys made it all the way to the end. Here's a preemptive plug for a book that we're gonna produce eventually here soon enough, and it's gonna be on our top list of movies to see. Like, it's definitely it's up there. I mean, where it lies, that's kind of can be arbitrary. I don't know. It's probably not in the top 10 personally, but maybe. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. See where it lands. But
it's up there for sure. This movie's really great. To answer your question about Joaquin Phoenix, I think he absolutely rules.
He rules forever. I think he's been great. I love that he went off and like started doing weird like avant-garde rap, and then started doing like weird documentaries, and then came back hard.
That documentary is like, it's hard. Have you ever seen it? I'm Still Here.
And didn't Casey
Affleck did it? Yeah, because Casey Affleck is his brother-in-law.
Oh, it's brother-in-law. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I couldn't. I knew they were related or like. Yeah.
But it's interesting because it's hard to that movie. It's like it's hard to find the line between like, I feel like he took his mental breakdown and turned it into performance art. Which it's like a little
like Kaufman or
it does really
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah. It does feel like a little bit like Exit Through the Gift Shop or something, where it's just like, at what point does this becomes this thing? But no, pre breakdown, it's like he's still great, dude. Walk the Line. I don't know if you've ever seen Clay Pigeons, but that movie's kind of fun. Fucking 8mm is cool, and then like, but post, it's like coming out with Gladiator, but then coming back with The Master, Her, Joker. Fucking and Signs was great. He was great in The Village before that. Fucking
dude, and her is cool because it's like, oh, okay, he is a good actor because he's not just playing the extremes. That's where sometimes I'm like an actor, like what Joaquin does, he really is like, he's in his own group. Like there are not like there are 1,000 actors trying to be Joaquin Phoenix, and they can never be Joaquin Phoenix.
Especially post Joker, like that's I feel like that's his most mainstream performance. I mean, he obviously won the Oscar for it and everything. It's a fucking superhero movie, iconic character, all that. And it's obviously his performance is great. There's no denying that. But it's just like, even in the like, he just always gives it his all, and it's pretty diverse. Like, he's known for his big, crazy, over the top performances, like The Master, which is pretty wild. Because that's what he came back fucking swinging with. But, like, The Sisters Brothers, have you ever seen that?
Dude, yeah, he's great.
He's great in The Sisters Brothers, and he's hilarious.
I'm Still There, I'm Still Here.
Well, yeah, that's the documentary.
That's the doc. No, I think you're a different one. He was in another. God, I have to look at this.
Yeah. He's in Brother Bear.
I definitely like. I'm definitely in the camp of support and like
100%. And honestly, Beau is Afraid. I'm glad. I want you to go see it because Beau's Afraid, his performance in it, I was expecting something like more like this, but he is pitiful and meek and like just just sad and anxiety. Like, he is playing, and he's like fatter a little bit in Beau's Afraid. Like, it's interesting. So far, that's like, I hope that he gets some praise throughout the year for his performance in Beau's Afraid, because it's really good. And it's different, though. That's the thing. It's really different than his other shit. It's very, like, not confident. He's, like, such a, like, a scared little meek character.
Oh, really?
And he's like, always pitiful and looking down and, like,
and he plays a different character in You Were Never Really Here.
Yeah, in that one,
that's the
like,
one I was
the
thinking
strong,
of, like,
silent, like, he's, like, deeply troubled, but he's, like, holding it all inside, barely contained rage type of character. It's great. Joaquin Phoenix is fucking great. I'll watch anything he's in. He's always compelling as fuck.
Did you ever see Irrational Man? Oh, it looks cool.
Yeah, no, I saw
it. Oh, it's Woody Allen. Never mind.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I'll pirate it.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, Quills. I forgot he's in. Anyway. So this movie's great. Watch it. If you watched it and you're like, there's something there. I feel like people did have like that itch where it's like, you watched it, you felt like there was something, like you didn't love it, but you feel like you dig deeper. I feel like a lot of PTA movies are like that, where it's just like they get better with time, and the more you like sit and stew on it, and then like on later rewatches. But like not in the way like a Christopher Nolan movie needs multiple rewatches. Like that one needs it to like understand all the complexities. This one is to
and
like
I would say like Nolan does plot what PT does for like character. You know,
yeah.
That's like Nolan writes some great plots, some great stories. Like I do, and that is why you need to watch it again, is because you're like, oh, these pieces are like moving, and it's like, you know, this like what happened.
Super
at the
complex to
end.
watch, like The Prestige and Memento. I think are fucking masterpieces.
And the characters, they just serve the narrative really well. Where this is like, there's like that's why
the characters are the narrative. The characters and their relationship is the narrative.
Like if you look at it, if you boil it down, he literally just drunkenly stumbles onto a boat and then follows a guy around because he feeds him and then clothes him.
Sort of, yeah, right.
Talks to him.
Pretty
like,
close.
You know, yeah. It's like I don't know. Then yeah.
Anyway, let's button it up.
I love it.
We could go. This could be hours long. We loved the Master, and so I hope if you're listening to this and you're like kind of on the fence and you're like, why do these guys like it so much? Give it a little time and go watch it again. It's really worth it.
Exactly.
Like it's
please watch it in like another year.
Yeah, watch it. Just watch it eventually. You know, again. I think it's I don't know. It works its claws into you. Like I don't know something about it. But anyway.
Okay. Thank you, everybody out there for listening. Glad you made it this far.
Thank you all the patrons. We next
patrons, you rock.
It's
I'll get you. Yeah, we'll get all your stuff coming to you guys. Don't you worry. don't you sweat your little behinds.
They're sweating. So the poll is not finalized because again, April's insane for me. But I had a crazy weekend, so I didn't post the poll till Monday. So the poll doesn't end until tomorrow morning. But we're doing Martin Scorsese, but we're doing kind of more of his offbeat, like not as super popular movies. So far, After Hours is winning the poll, but things can change.
It's got a few.
So check in on the Reddit. By the time this episode goes up, it should be on the Reddit or on the website. So check and see what we're watching next week. It's probably going to be After Hours or maybe Hugo or maybe even Last Temptation of Christ. We'll see. So stay tuned for that. That'll be good.
I'm excited for either one.
I'm excited for all of them. So yeah, it should be good. So anyway, thanks for.
We're just gonna keep doing directors for a little while. We don't have like
set
end date.
No, I think we do like one or two more, and then maybe we could switch gears and then do like a real genre or something. We'll talk about it because I don't want to just do directors forever, but yeah, it's loosey goosey for me right now a little bit, and I like it.
I've been liking it too.
I think everyone else likes it because we make the rules, baby. There's no fucking rules. We make the rules.
It's fun to see directors, but I also wanted to give everyone out there a little shameless plug for my good friend here. Levi just finished a book, and it's out there
thanks.
I wasn't old Amazons, and it exists.
I wasn't.
Burn the Earth, baby.
Thanks for that. I almost forgot it. I wasn't even gonna plug it or anything. But yeah, it's called Burn the Earth. Go check it out.
You gotta plug it.
I know, that's true.
I gotta get out there.
Go check it out. I will.
Buy 30 copies. You can buy a copy for me for twice the price.
Yeah, I'm gonna in the future. I'm planning on working on getting the website all combined together. So eventually it'll be on the website, so you can check it out there eventually. If not, I'm sure you find me and you'll find it. So
yeah, dude.
Check it out. It's pretty fun. So
well, yeah, congrats. Right.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Love everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.